The National Archives of the United States of America, or NARA. This is the place that should hold the original construction documents for every single federal building. They shared the master list with us, and we showed that the U.S. Capitol building, one of the most important structures in American history, they only hold 10 pages. And they were filed in 1935, 135 years after it was supposedly constructed. So I went further and I emailed NARA. I wanted them to confirm that what we see in the master list is actually true. Because if they don't have any records, no blueprints from the United States Capitol building, a palace from 1800 within the National Archives database, then I believe this has to be the most shocking evidence to this point. Understanding that the country's foundation is undocumented. This is the single most important political structure within the United States of America. It's the heart of the American government. This is the place where Congress meets, where laws are created, where presidents are inaugurated. So when I send the email to the National Archives, asking them about their master list, telling them that I came across the United States Capitol building, Washington, D.C., understanding that we've all been lied to, that its original construction was from 1793 to 1800. I pointed out that their blueprints, their construction records, the ledgers, all of the documents that they would have needed to build this thing, they are all missing. And that there are only 10 pages logged from 1935. I wanted them to clarify that this was everything that they had, and there wasn't anything missing in the back, or that they didn't get around to yet, like the New York Public Library, like we just saw. And this is when they replied back to me and my team, stating, yes, if it is missing from the master list, then we do not have it in our holdings. And this is the end of the mainstream narrative. There's no coming back. It is done. And it's shocking. We have confirmation that they don't have any evidence at all, that their narrative about the construction of the United States Capitol building from 1793 to 1800 is actually true at all. There's nothing cataloged. There's nothing documented. Zero evidence. And at this point, I don't have any respect for an adult that sits in a classroom and grades children on a story that is completely fabricated. And the reason is because the adult did zero research on their own to ever even verify whether this story that they grade all these kids on was even true to begin with. They just blindly accepted all of this information and never actually asked for verification, and then they grade these children on it. And I believe that this thought process is all done. It's time for everybody to understand that we need to ask for receipts for all of these stupid stories. And it doesn't stop there. This is for everything. This is not just for history. This is a thought process, and it's universal in life. We all need to ask for verification on everything that we're told. I'm not gonna stop. I'm coming after their story hour. I'm going to ruin their favorite chapters. This is the 8th time now that we have exposed a structure where they admit to the world that they do not have the original blueprints. They don't have the blueprints, and they also don't have the ledgers. They don't have the load-bearing calculations. They have nothing. We have pulled FOIAs. We've talked to government employees, and they've admitted it all right here on this channel. And now all of us know that the United States Capitol building, according to the National Archives, does not have a single document proving that they actually constructed this building. NARA isn't just an archive. It's not just a library. NARA exists specifically to preserve the original documents that would prove the federal government's history, their actions, their construction, laws, and operations. This includes the following: federal building contracts, federal construction blueprints, engineering reports, architectural plans, presidential records, congressional records, maps, surveys, ledgers, correspondence, and all federal documents created by agencies and departments. Where the U.S. Capitol building, it obviously falls into all of this. And we've been asking for the blueprints, and that's when we found NARA. And NARA doesn't have a single document. So Let's go further. Every single federal building built before 1934 was 100% required to transfer all their records to the National Archives when NARA was created. If the records ever existed, NARA would have inherited them. And the fact that they don't have these records means that they were never created. They were never kept. Or, just like we've said for so many years, the entire time, and this is what I believe to be true, this building was found and predates the official narrative. And their narrative is a complete lie. The stage is set, and I'm going to show you how it's not just 8 buildings. It's not just the United States Capitol building. We're gonna go to Louisville, Kentucky, and take this whole thing even further. Welcome to episode 160 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome. I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. I'll put the link right in the description. And you can use my referral code, MLB. If you click the Tartaria button, you'll see the My Lunch Break playlist right here. The app is awesome. Thank you to Rebecca K, Chuck Templeton, Joy Lee, Stephanie Nolan, the Burlesons, Charles Kruger, Dan Woodall, Dale, DJ Clicktrack, Jacob Law, Jim Ribley and Christine Duggan, Kyle Glasscock, PKTFnews.org, Ben Dries NL, Natalie Shippenoff, Melissa Edgar, Biggles, Double Task Homestead, John Adams, Attila Power, Forbidden Gecko Love, Justin Grobner Grubb, Leah Strong, Dakota Dunn, Jason Hochberg, Marie C., Michael Dingyu, Patriot Armory, C3SCOB, SoniaDane.com, James Alt, Jason Press, Miggs, Mark Chapman, Ariana Oates, Nathan Burba, Ski, Beacon of Truth, Liberty's Arborist, Thomas Thorpe Peterson, Zinger Coffee and Tea, Emily Maryland, Curious Cat, Mike D, etc., Dan McGee, Lori Hedvig Johnson, Ellie Annie, Seth Craigo, Glenn Gunderson, Mousie's Mouse Cheese Records, Robert's Brain is Gone, Extreme Reality Check, Late for Dinner, Eolo Goncalves, Blake, Dax Bilchek and Son, Dylan Mugenberg, Robert Petro, Katz Hill, Susie Q, Yark 143, Doc Halo, Kenneth Putt, Brenna Fernandez, Paraduction, Necrodemonics, A&W Kerrigan, Rod Wah, Sweetest of Peas, Road Warrior, Bruce Latour, Codrent, Devin Apocalypse, Ardra Rogers, Brazawayan, Armin Walker, Ivan Apocalypse, Maybell, Laurel L. Burnett, Hoppy John, John and Carlo, Bill, Vince Moreno, Flat Earth Herb, Sven Eric, Tom O'Hara, Ducks MDF TFV, Jeremy and Amy, The Arnolds, Digital Strategy, Earth Daughter, Eha Muir, Harvey, First Class Forklift, Bradford's Donkey Wagon Deluxe, Ernieho, Just Like That, Backyard Rob, DevlinMcGregor.com, D Woods, Sherry Frost, Lynn Thielen, Effie Patriot, Corbin Mechanical, Valhalla Stars, Kent Baki, Breaking Bigfoot, Trevor Cashin, Brendy's Brenna, Sally, Alpha Auto, Christina Kelso, Tahoe Highlands, Consulting LLC, Ty, David and Sherry Ferguson, Rebecca Klung, M Skin, ValleyMedicinals.com, The Lady Lacey Show, David Torres, Lucy, Tibba Shaba in the Darkness. You guys are all awesome and helping this channel out a lot. I've shown how massive structures, such as the Field Museum in Chicago, the Philadelphia City Hall, and the U.S. Capitol Building, all of them hold 0 documented construction records. I can also show you that this goes so much further than that. And there was a civilization here before all of us that was advanced. This civilization that was here was not riding around on horses and donkeys. They weren't suffering in winters, and they had technology. And they lived right here where we are today, where we find their buildings all over the place. And we use all of them right now. This one being the Crescent Hill Branch Library, located in Louisville, Kentucky. I just want one blueprint with the load-bearing calculations. I want a building that looks incredible, that has columns, and was supposedly built in the 1800s. Even the early 1900s will be fine. I want them to actually provide us with the proof that we all know would have been required. This is impossible to not have a single document for any of these structures, if they actually built them. We have so many architects, people that work inside buildings, people that construct buildings for their living, emailing us, contacting us, telling us that this would be impossible, to not have one document. And remember, this is not thousands of years ago. This is the 18 and 1900s. They weren't just over there eyeballing 600,000 tons of stone, just over there guessing how many donkeys would pull the stone to the site. All undocumented. There's no ledgers. There's no record of how much things costed. There's nothing. And this is impossible if they actually constructed it. There had to be load tables, stress diagrams, engineering calculations, thickness measurements, material ledgers, like how many chisels they had. They didn't even have a power tool, remember. Geological surveys. It's literally impossible to build a palace with none of this. And we've seen this every single time. So I've submitted a form to the Crescent Hill Library. Louisville, Europe, Australia, and the rest. You are not off the hook. I'm coming after you too. I want the blueprints. I've asked these guys for the blueprints. I've asked them for the original drawings to their building that we are all told was constructed in just 1 year. 1 year in 1908. This is not even close to possible. It's crazy. We are all told that Thomas and Bone was the architect firm behind this palace library. And this is when they replied back to me saying that they've checked with their construction manager and he does not believe that they have the original construction drawings or load-bearing calculations for Crescent Hill, officially making this the 9th structure that is totally unverified and has 0 documents on how it actually got there. There's again no proof. There is no proof, 0, that it was actually constructed in a single year. So I emailed back and said, just so I'm understanding correctly, you're saying that the original blueprints, the original load-bearing calculations are not in your possession. Remember, this is a library and they don't even have their own records from like 120 years ago. And that alone should tell you everything you need to know. They also told me that I could go put in an open records request and they would even be happy to do that for us. I said, sure, let's do it. I also wanted to clarify, just so I was understanding correctly, that they're saying that they don't have the original blueprints and the load-bearing calculations for the Crescent Hill, and they're not in their possession. And they replied back to me saying, yes, that's what we're told. No blueprints, no load-bearing calculations, which is just unbelievable. I went ahead and just filled out this form that they gave me. This individual wanted my address, which I'm not giving it to this person. And when I entered my address in, they denied my request because I'm not a Kentucky resident. So I just asked her to do it, since we're just requesting information from this website. And here's the link if anybody's watching from Kentucky and wants to submit a request for these original blueprints. Because the library, they replied back to me saying, I'm afraid I can't do that. They have a residency rule for a reason. And that would not be appropriate. Really, it wouldn't be appropriate for the library to want to get their own original blueprints. You have got to be kidding me. You should want your blueprints from the Louisville Metro government saying, I'm sorry I can't be of more assistance. It's ridiculous, especially because in 1908, the Louisville Metro didn't even exist. So the library would have had to transfer these documents over to them in 2003. And if they don't have them, then we can skip the Louisville Metro government. They're not going to have them either. So I replied back to her saying, based on your message and the construction manager's input, it sounds like the Louisville Free Public Library doesn't have its own original blueprints or load-bearing calculations documented for their Crescent Hill branch. And I'll note that from my research, that the originals are not held in the library's possession. And they emailed us back saying, sounds accurate. And so now they know that they don't have their own original documents. And they also admitted it to the world. And we are getting a complete confirmation that the story that we've all been told are complete lies and all unverified information. This building's construction, being built in a year in 1908, is completely unverified now. We want a single blueprint. I want one of them. I want to show you all how incredible Donkeys Incorporated was. I want to show you how they chiseled palaces in the dark, how they suffered in winters but could knock out a palace in no time. 12 months or less, perfectly. I want to show you the tunnels that are in 0 stories. Yet we know the tunnels are all there, connecting to all the other old world buildings in the area. I want a single ledger. Just one. Proving that they bought 50 chisels with taxpayer money. Donkeys Incorporated. You went undocumented. And it's unbelievable. Thank you to all of our badge members, all of our Patreons, and every single subscriber. You're all awesome, and I thank you all a lot. We are on YouTube, Rumble, X, Instagram, TikTok, BitChute, and Spotify, if you're looking for even more content from us. We're also on eBay now, where I'm putting the episodes on there if you'd like a physical archive. We're also selling cool items. Somebody just bought the first episode's thumbnail, a one of one, signed limited episode specific artifact. I'm gonna be doing this for every episode, and each sale helps this channel so much. I'm gonna be putting all the money right back into this channel, and I thank you all so much for your support. Wow, there was a 1988 renovation project, which we all know that we like to call the restoration projects destruction projects, because these old world buildings do not need our help, and we all know it. The library materials were all stored and kept safe at the Masonic home. Very nice of them. We have a verified paper trail that 9 structures that clearly, just from looking at them, do not belong in our timeline. And we now have verification from supposedly scholarly sources, the people that should actually have the blueprints, that they do not have them. They have nothing. And it's not just the blueprints. They literally have nothing. 0 pieces of paper to provide us to prove that their story is actually true. We've covered the U.S. Capitol building. We've showed that the Crescent Hill Branch Library has no documents. And now we're going to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, where they have the Westminster Presbyterian Church that was supposedly built in 1897. And it wasn't even the first church on the site. Apparently, the first church was from 1860. And it was outgrown. And they built another one in 1883, where this second church, 12 years after opening, was heavily damaged by a fire. So we get the nod. We all know that this is a place that we definitely need to email and ask for the blueprints, because I don't believe they have them at all. A fire ripped this second church to the ground in 1895 and broke ground in 1896. 1 year later, opening its doors in 1897, 1 year after that. In the 1800s, this is unbelievable. So let's email the PTCA, or the Presbytery of the Twin Cities area, the group responsible for overseeing the Westminster Presbyterian Church. They handle church administration, records, and governance. They are the organization above the church that holds the records. Going further, the PTCA would definitely know if the records were archived, if they were transferred, if they were lost, or never existed at all. So we emailed them, asking them for the original blueprints, the construction drawings for the church in Minneapolis, the one that's there today, from 1897. And we asked them to please confirm whether their office holds these records. And we got an email back from the office administrator to the PTCA stating, "Hello, we do not hold these records." Again, they should without a doubt have them. They should have something. But time and time again, they have nothing. Their story about these fires, building things in 1 year, the multiple churches before it, the architects. These guys might have been real people, but they were not drawing load-bearing calculations. They were not winning contests. They were not constructing anything, in my opinion. And their story is ruined. They have lied to us for too long. And we are all done with their fake stories. We want the truth. I love seeing them admit that they don't have these records, because every time it gets more and more shocking. I told you that they're not going to have these blueprints. And we have exposed the Cathedral of All Saints, Big Ben, the Field Museum, the Philadelphia City Hall, the New York Public Library, Emmanuel Church in LaGrange, Illinois, the Federal Hall in New York City, the U.S. Capitol Building, Crescent Hill Branch Library, and the Westminster Presbyterian Church. I just want the blueprints. I want the construction records. I want to see the verification that their story is true. Yet the mainstream history is 10 for 10, exposing themselves that they can't provide any documentation to us. And every single time that they do this, they are being exposed more and more, showing all of us that they never had these records, and they just made up these stories based on nothing. 10 for 10. And just wait till we get to 20. Wait till we get to 50. 500 structures all over the world that just can't seem to locate their building's load-bearing calculations. No idea how their structure was ever approved by the city. And they have no idea how their building even got there. We are conducting a worldwide audit, one building at a time. The mainstream history is collapsing. We've dragged it right into the deep end by simply asking questions. We want the evidence, we want the truth. We want disclaimers stating that their stupid stories are unverified. We're not even close to done. I want to know how this castle tower, located in Riverside, Illinois, got there. We want to see some documentation.